Star Wars geek girls. They're geek girls that like Star Wars. And sometimes cry.
Hello, and welcome back to Star Wars Geek Girl. I'm Zoe, and as usual, I'm here with Lizzy.
Hello.
We are going to talk about Obi-Wan Kenobi Part 4, because someone did not watch Episode 5. That's okay. That's okay.
I'm busy.
I know, you're very busy.
I'm busy and tired. Technically not as busy as you, though, to be fair.
Well, we can't all be me.
You're right. You're right.
Sorry.
Anyway.
I'm losing my mind. Yeah, Obi-Wan Kenobi Part 4. Or Episode 4, Part 4, whatever you want to call it. Sorry, I just checked Stars.com to see if there's any other news, and they're doing a Visions comic book, so
Wow.
that's pretty sweet. It's interesting. It's the Ronin though. Like, we already have a book on that guy, which is great. I love him. But like, what about my other peeps?
There's like 5 other ones.
I know there's my other peeps. I mean, it's still cool. It might actually, you know what? It looks like. Oh wait, it says he's continuing the storytelling from the duel. So I don't know if it is that like a adaptation of the novel, because I continued the story very literally. Anyway, sorry, that's not Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan Kenobi Part 4. What are your spoiler-free thoughts?
My spoiler-free thoughts. I think what you said yesterday was correct. Last time we podcasted. Yesterday? No.
Last week.
Week?
It was exactly a week from now, actually.
Yes. Was very correct. It wasn't overwhelmingly good, but like it was still good.
Mm-hmm.
It was still an episode.
Yes. Yeah. Like I think what I said, like, it was like there's no, like, I feel like Episode 3 you have that big like Vader and Obi-Wan are meeting, like that big thing. And there wasn't anything quite that big in Episode 4, but it was still good. And I think it, especially after seeing 5, which I won't spoil, I think it was a very necessary
episode.
Yeah, as far as getting, not that it was like, oh, like they were here and then they got here and like nothing happened, like that was it, like stuff happened, but it wasn't like, it was no like Darth Vader raking Obi-Wan through fire, like
yeah,
it wasn't that level of intensity, but still very good. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think I kind of said my spoiler-free thoughts, if I can talk. I kind of said this last week, but I'll, say what I just said, and just it's a very good episode. And I love little Leia.
Yes.
She's repeatedly stealing the show. Never mind, that was the other episode. No, okay, now they're molding together in my mind. That's okay. Okay. Episode 4. Okay. If you haven't watched it, go watch it and then come back and listen. Or just listen. We'll tell you what happens. If that's your choice.
If that's how you prefer.
I can't tell you what to do. If you would like to take your Star Wars filtered through us first, that's interesting. I would like to know why you do that, but you are very welcome to. But I'd recommend go watching the episode if you have Disney Plus.
Yes. It is visually pleasing.
It is. We cannot give you that via a podcast.
Yes.
We can try very hard. But
I don't think we'll succeed.
Won't quite get there. Yes. Okay. Yeah. So episode starts with Obi-Wan in a back to tank. And I thought it was really cool because it's like, oh, this is Obi-Wan in the back to tank treating his burns. And then you cut and you're like, that looks a little different. And it's Vader in the back to tank, because he got a little crispy a little while ago.
Yeah, way a while ago.
So he's in the tank, and Obi-Wan's in the tank, and it's cutting back and forth between them, and it's really cool. And there's like this shot where it like is going down Obi-Wan's arm, and then it cuts to Vader, and it's his little stump.
Yes.
I'm not doing it justice. It's so cool.
It was really cool. Even though, again, I don't like Vader, I thought that like back and forth was really very cool.
Yes, certainly.
I think some people thought they were forced FaceTiming, but I don't think so. I think there was just the coolness of directors and stuff.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. I didn't hear that. Yeah, I think it was more of just like a creative choice. Like, a lot of this show is comparing. Like, I could see maybe this is showing them that they're like thinking about each other, right? Maybe sensing each other vaguely in the Force or whatever. But I wouldn't say they were Force FaceTiming, like a Rey and Kylo situation.
That'd be interesting though.
Force FaceTiming Darth Vader sounds really scary.
Yeah. Especially because he can choke you through the Force, through the phone.
He can.
We've seen it happen.
Well, yeah. And I was just thinking of like, like Rise of Skywalker, like Rey and Kylo, like when they're like swinging lightsabers and like stuff actually falls. Like, so Vader could like actually really there's nowhere safe from Darth Vader. Not really.
Yeah.
He's a little scary.
Kind of everywhere.
Yeah. Kind of. Yeah. So they're in the back to tank and it's super cool. And then Obi-Wan like wakes up in the back to tank. Which I hadn't really thought about that much because I feel like most of the time we see people in a back to tank, they're either like unconscious and they pull them out unconscious, or they like it's like Boba Fett, like, let me get in my back to tank, But like if you like weren't anywhere near water, like if you're like he's like just on fire and he wakes up and he's in water, that's kind of scary,
Yeah.
I feel like just like naturally your body's like even though you have the mask on, your body's like, we were sleeping in water, like we're gonna drown, So he obviously like panics and is like, what is going on? Matala's like, it's okay, we're on Jabim, is the planet.
Jabim.
And I just like saying it. Jabim.
Yes.
Yeah. And he's like, oh, where's Leia? And we know where Leia is. Leia is in the Inquisitor Castle.
Yes. Because of her.
Yeah. But Leia's like, she's Leia. She's like, oh, like, I'm a princess, like, you can't do this to me. Like, so he's very defiant and very brave for a 10-year-old girl in this creepy evil castle.
Yeah.
It's like underwater, like, yeah. I know it's like old hat because like we all said this after the first two episodes came out, or a lot of people said this after the first episode came out, but I just every time just so blown away because I'm like, wow, like that is Leia, like like they've recast a lot of people, and I really liked like Han and Lando and Solo, like, and I do like see them and I'm like, yeah, like that's Harrison Ford and like Billy Dee Williams, like that's the character they're embodying really well. But this girl specifically just captures Leia so well. It just blows me away every single time how much I can see this little 10-year-old girl who wasn't even born, like was born decades after this movie came out. And I see this 10-year-old girl and I'm like, yeah, that's Carrie Fisher, she does a great job, and I cannot say it enough.
Yeah, pretty much. I think like that whole scene, even though I was kind of bored by the interrogation because it was there to like show, like you were saying, like she's just so much like Princess Leia, grown up Princess Leia. I thought the interrogation was kind of boring though, because she like Reva wasn't really interrogating her, but like was, I don't know. I thought she could have done so much worse, and then almost did.
I'm glad she didn't. I think part of no, I can't say that. I think I can say I think part of it was Reva. She has the ability to fly off the handle a little bit. But I think she does recognize like when something is too far, not in the way that I think she would necessarily like is like, oh, like I draw my line at this kid, but as much as like this would be some really bad press, if an imperial senator's daughter, a princess of a fairly influential planet, just like disappeared and died. Like that doesn't look good for the Empire. I mean,
for now she is disappeared though.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean like didn't come back. Like I think I don't know. I think Reva's like, like maybe it's a little bit above my call to kill this.
I think she also just didn't want to kill her since later, we see that she puts a tracker on her.
That and I think nope, never mind. Darn it. Gotta watch episode 5. It's so good. Yeah. So yeah, they have a little thing. Leia activates Lola and has Lola try to, I don't know what she was trying to have Lola do. She had her undo the restraints, I think. But then I don't know what else she was gonna have her do. But Reva uses the Force and is like, I had a droid too. And they have a little, it's kind of cute. I still like Reva. I wish her the best.
I wish her the worst. I
really do. See, I mean, it's like I said last time. I wanted to succeed, but like generally, just not like don't succeed in that thing you're trying to do right now. But just like in life, I wish you well. I really do, Reva.
I wish you well in hell.
Okay, I didn't say that. Yeah. So on Jabim, there's the guy. I didn't learn his name until like yesterday. His name is Roken. He's like, you need to get out of here, Obi-Wan. Everyone's looking for you. Like, they're gonna find us. Fair. Fair. I would also argue that maybe like, their whole thing here is that they're funneling Jedi through this Star Wars Underground Railroad. So like, Obi-Wan's a Jedi, but I see his point. Obi-Wan's very high profile.
Weird. I thought it was weird how like easily it was to just have him help. Like at first he was like, no, my wife like died, and then he was like, okay, you convinced me. But like also they didn't say anything.
Yeah,
that was interesting.
I think, yeah, that's fair. I feel like maybe, I think like he's obviously down to be risking his life for people, right? Like, that's their whole thing here that they're doing with the path. So I think that is just part of kind of who he is. So that maybe made it easier to convince him, even if he was initially hesitant. It's the same thing of like Obi-Wan telling the other Jedi, like you can't go out, like get rid of your lightsaber, like just go away, and then it took a little more convincing, but he really gets back in the swing of things fairly quickly, and I think it's just kind of like you're like that's you're good natured by heart, and you ultimately at your core want to help people, and even if when you first weigh the odds, if you don't like how it looks, it might not take very much for you to go with what your heart tells you.
I guess so. I guess it just felt like awkward to me.
I mean, to be fair, he didn't really like wasn't that on board. Like he didn't go with them or anything. You know? Like he wasn't like Tala like volunteered to go with. He didn't go with or anything. He just kind of let other people help more than helped himself too.
Yeah. True. But yeah. Then they go to what's it called?
Fortress Inquisitorius.
Yes, very in the Mustafar system with all the bad people.
Mustafar system. Nothing good ever seems to happen in the Mustafar system.
No, I would.
I feel bad
for
the Mustafarians. You know, they get a bad rap just by existing on that planet. But
yeah,
play Vader Immortal, everybody.
Also, I think it's the worst thing ever when people put their fortresses in water. It is the worst idea you could ever do in the history of anything.
I mean, you know, it mostly worked for them. So far, we only know like 2 break-ins that they had. This one and Cal Kestis. So
yeah,
and neither one of those was particularly successful. I mean, I guess it was successful, but man, Cal, that was traumatizing actually. Like that was probably, I wouldn't say it's the scariest video game experience I had. Because I almost peed myself playing one of the missions in Fallout 4. But that was like, man, that was scary.
Do you have Steam?
Yes.
Do you have Phasmophobia?
No, I don't know what that is.
If you ever get it, that would be cool because then we could play, because I have no one to play with and you get scared very easily and I get scared very easily and I think that's cool.
Oh my gosh, what is this? Psychological horror. Yeah, this will send me into a spiral. I'm Googling it right now.
It's this is way off topic, but it's you're a ghost hunter and you go into houses and you have to figure out what the ghost is because there's like different types of ghosts. Yeah, that's basically it.
They have it in VR?
Yes, it's the worst thing ever.
I would break my headset. That. No, I would break my headset. Sure. When I was talking to something, because I have an Oculus Quest, and someone was like, "Oh, you should get the Walking Dead game. It's really good." No. I'm like, "I'm sure it's good." I would cry. I would cry. I would straight up cry. Same thing. Safi was like, "Oh, there's a Five Nights at Freddy's." I was like, "I know." I'm not gonna pay $25 to cry myself to sleep. I can't even. I got when Five Nights at Freddy's first came out and you could get it for free on your phone and just play like the first night or the first 2 nights or whatever. I would like hold my phone as far away from me as possible because I was just like my tiny little phone. I was just like, oh my gosh, I'm so scared.
Yeah, I
don't do scary.
Yeah. I know, but I have no one to play with.
Maybe even if I get it now, maybe in a couple months we'll play.
Good.
I get it now. We're not playing. I just don't have much time. Yeah.
Or we can play it late at night. The best time.
No. Oh my gosh. Anyway,
just saying.
Yeah. So their little idea to get in is Obi-Wan goes swimming and goes and gets in one of the little it's like a water port thing in, I don't know why they have those. Do they have submarines? Or like something?
No. It's just kind of a thing.
They have a, because they're not like, oh, it's like a vent or whatever. It's like it's like a big thing that like stuff can get. I don't know. Yeah, so Obi-Wan goes up to the port and says, oh, and Tala, like, because she was, I guess, I thought she just like dressed as an officer. I guess she was like an actual officer. And I rewatched other episodes and she said that, so I felt silly. But she's like an actual officer, and she still, as far as the Empire knows, has like clearance and stuff. So she walks in. She is so cool. She like goes up and there's like the little security guard, and he's like, "Hey, this isn't your sector," and she's like, "I have classified information. Do you know what classified is? I am above you." And it's like she's just so cool.
Yes.
And
I just like my dad talked about it a little bit on the other podcast, but just like when in doubt, just yell. Just yell
just
at
get
them.
mad. Well, yeah, because then like you know, as soon as she raised her voice, that guy looked like a kicked little puppy. Because like, you know, as far as he's concerned, like she does outrank him.
Yeah,
it's basically like getting yelled at by your boss in a way. So he just looked like, he's like, okay, sorry, okay, you can go through. Don't yell at me anymore. Don't report me, please. Yeah. Also, I should mention, when they were in the little interrogation thing, Reva told Leia that Obi-Wan was dead and that they abandoned her.
yeah, that was sad. That was jerky.
I know, poor Leia. Well, and then Reva did the like force like brain thing. And
Which
I
did
was
not
like,
work.
it did not. And she was like, wow, you're strong. So like Leia resisted her. But I was like, oh man, is she gonna figure out that Leia's force sensitive? And she didn't. Which was cool.
Nope.
Always happy about that. Because that could have gone very poorly.
But that's just so weird. How did, like, I guess there are people that are strong-minded, and like, are there people that are strong-minded and don't have the force but also can take force?
I mean, remember Cad Bane in Clone Wars? It took like 4 or 5 Jedi, and they weren't like, it was like Mace Windu, like Obi-Wan, Anakin, like strong Jedi to get just kind of into his head, you know? And he still was able to resist for a while. Like he still, you know, I mean, maybe not a while, but like it wasn't instant, like it, you know. So
yeah, I guess so.
And like Watto.
Nah, he has the force. Watto has the force.
Okay.
Confirm.
So yeah. So yeah, so Obi-Wan's swimming. Obi-Wan's always swimming. Man. Not always, just like in Phantom Menace, but
he swims sometimes.
Not always. He swam one time in one movie, and I'm like, oh, he's always swimming. Look at him go.
He's always swimming in live action.
He's always swimming in the 2 times that he was swimming.
Yes. That's a lot of swimming.
He was swimming, and I was like, hey, look at him go. He's swimming. He did that before.
I like when Obi-Wan swims. All those times.
He must be a good swimmer, man. Like, I don't know, like you think of like that swim from like the like edge of the lake or whatever to like the inside of that city, like way underwater. And then like now, like that was deep water. Like he's gotta be a really strong swimmer.
Yeah.
You know, well, like he has a little
cheat.
I mean, he has his little breathy thing, but like just like that movement, you know, and like it gets, there's more water pressure the farther you go down, you know, like strong.
Very strong.
I wonder, because he'd been on Tatooine for 10 years, right? So you think he was like, oh, water.
Maybe. I think he's just happy to get off of maybe he's not happy, but I feel like he should be happy to get off of Tatooine.
It's a little break. Yeah, anyway, he like swims and it goes in the hole, and there's a single stormtrooper guarding the hole, and you're like, oh, that poor guy. And then there's a splash, and they open the door, and the stormtrooper's like floating in the water, because we can't see him take out the stormtrooper. We saw him cut that one in half, but knocking him out and throwing him in the water, too much. Too violent for Disney Plus.
Yeah. Remember when people were saying that Disney was making Star Wars not violent enough?
Yeah.
That was funny.
Yeah. Because you watch other Star Wars, like, watch the original trilogy. That's like so brutal and graphic, not like The Mandalorian or something, which is rated G for kids.
Didn't he also hold someone's head? I guess that was Boba Fett. But he did hold someone's head in a bag and it was dripping. I guess that's anyone. Is that
No, that was the Mandalorian. Or no, you know what? That was the Mandalorian in Boba Fett.
Yeah.
And didn't Boba Fett, they held that like creature's head.
Yeah, there was a lot of heads.
Bag. That wasn't even in a bag, man. Yeah.
There's a lot of heads. What classifies as G?
Well, G, I don't think anything Star Wars is G. Maybe like Galaxy of Creatures. Most of it's PG or PG-13. A lot newer stuff's PG-13, I think. Let's see. Yeah, G is like little kid. And then there's it's like different things. So like
you don't know at the top of your head.
No. Well, I know R, like it's like silly things sometimes, because like if you can say one F word and it's PG-13, you say two, it's R.
Wow.
Right?
Fudge.
And certain that's the word. But there's like different levels for like, because there's like violence and there's like sex stuff and like all sorts of things. Language. Yeah, I think violence tends to be the bigger one as far as Star Wars is concerned anyway, because they don't really use real word curse words. I remember in Clone Wars the first time, I think it was in the the Rishi Moon episode. What's that called? Rookies. In Rookies, they said, "What the hell?" And me and Safi were like, "Whoa." In Star Wars? That's crazy. This is not Obi-Wan.
No, but I think it's funny because my parents,
I think Obi-Wan's PG-13.
My parents swear so much that every swear word goes over my head anytime watching anything, or swear words were the language in the house. Not among Axel and me, but definitely everyone else.
Oh yeah, I've heard.
Even my mom, who's very happy, she'll just throw in something. And I'm like,
that's just the words.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's their love language.
So Obi-Wan. So this was the so Obi-Wan's trying to go through the little thing, and it's like the very classic like in Spider-Man, like the guy in the chair tells the guy in the chair, she has a microphone, she's like, "Okay, go over here, like like they always do when they break in places." So Obi-Wan's going through and he finds these very ominous doors with their black with a red imperial symbol, and he's like, "Oh, this is obviously where they lock up the secret stuff."
Where they lock up the princesses.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, meanwhile, some stormtroopers have grabbed Leia and pulled her to this giant torture room. It's this huge room with one torture chair in the middle. Not very efficient use of space.
They have,
but it's about the
setting.
It's about the drama, Yeah, they have their torture chair takes 10-year-olds, and she's a small 10-year-old too.
Yeah.
That was genuinely I was like, there's no way they're gonna put this 10-year-old girl in a torture rack. And they didn't actually get to torturing her. Got interrupted. No, but they got close. They got very close. I was like, oh my gosh, they're going to make me watch this 10-year-old girl scream and be tortured. She's already gonna have to do that in 9 years. You can't give her a break now.
No.
Yeah, anyway, so Obi-Wan's like, here's these secret doors, and he goes in with the little code cylinder, and it's crazy. This was probably the biggest thing in the episode where I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, I thought I saw Quinlan Voss in the when he
dude,
first opens it.
I did too. I was like, oh my god, Sal's gonna cry. He was so happy for like a day.
I was looking at the Wikipedia of episode 4, and I was like, oh, and I was scrolling down, and it was like also people to look for, Quinlan Voss, and I was like, no way,
yeah,
no.
Yeah, I don't think. I think some people say, oh, it's definitely him because it was like a dark skinned guy with long hair. But I think if it was Quinlan Voss, especially after they just mentioned him, they would have noticed him. They would have like had a shot of him, like they had shots of like all these random people that we didn't know, and the few we did, which we'll talk about. But I think they would. Some people were like, "Oh, Mace Windu's in there," and I was like, "I think that's just a bald guy."
My dad does think that the first guy that he was looking at is the one teacher from the episode where Ahsoka loses her saber.
Yeah, as soon as he showed up, I looked at my dad and I was like, "That's Tara Sinube." He was okay. I'm like, what? And I was like, "It's Tara Sinube from the Clone Wars." Yes. Yeah, I think that is him because the Star Wars Twitter was like, go watch episode 4, and they used a gif of Tara Sinube from that episode of Clone Wars, and I was like, you guys, that's just
awful.
Cool.
Disrespectful.
I forget what the gif was. It was let me see if I can find it. It was like something where I was like, man, come on. It was very funny. I'm loving what Star Wars Twitter is doing at the moment. That account. It's really funny. But yeah, I think, and I like, and like, oh, like there's a guy in the background, like, oh, that's Quinn Voss. Like I said, I think he would have had a shot of him if it was.
He also did speed run the rest of the way.
He did, but I think I don't know. I think cinematically, it would suck if they were like, oh yeah, that was Quinlan Voss, the guy that was in the background for like 0.2 seconds that you didn't actually see. So Voss lives for sure.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, so I didn't recognize any of the other Jedi. Just Tara Sinube was the first one.
I thought the kid was terrifying.
I know that. So you go through all these different Jedi, it's all these different species. They all look like they have varying degrees of terror on their face, as one would probably. I'm interested in what, like, because they like killed these people, right? So like, did they like kill them and then like did they
place them?
Well, did they like pose them, like taxidermy them? Because like, or like, is this just them being like, did they somehow like just like freeze them in time? Like, what is like? Because it, they're not like frozen in carbonite or something. Like, they're like presumably dead people. Like, did they like kill like this kid or any of these people and be like, all right, let's pose them and put them on the wall? Like, it's like, yeah, it's a weird like trophy. It's gross. It's crazy. Yeah, that was scary. I was like, I rewatched it a couple times. I was like, I don't know any of these people, right? But I think it was just Tara Sinube. Never gonna watch that episode the same way again.
Yeah,
ever.
That was horrifying.
He was such a nice old man. R.I.P.
Yes, very slow, but very
It's
good.
always interesting because, like, you think of all these Jedi characters, and like for most of them, like, oh, like, yeah, like they died in Order 66, but then like you like see them die in it or like see their body, and you're like, oh yeah, they like died. Like I felt the same about like Luminara when she showed up in Rebels, because like, yeah, Luminara, I like her. And
dead.
Then she's like a frozen corpse in a refrigerator, and you're like, oh yeah, that was a thing. Like they're all gone, man. That's crazy.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that part was horrifying. Thankfully,
Mm-hmm.
it was ended when he heard little Leia screaming for her life.
Poor baby.
Um,
Yeah, right before they can torture her, there's like needles going towards her eyes. Tala or someone comes in and is like, "Oh, someone's here with information about Obi-Wan Kenobi." And Reva's like, "Okay, I'll go talk to this person." And it's Tala trying to stall for time. And she like kind of has a good story because like she is an officer from where all that happened, so like she can kind of make it up. She says like, "Oh, like I was undercover in uh this path thing. Like I can give you all the information." She tells them they're on Florum, which I'm sure, which I know she didn't know, but I like the idea of her saying that because Hondo like of Obi, like I like the idea of Obi-Wan just like chilling with Hondo.
yeah, nice and
um
safe and sound.
yeah. um but yeah, so then there's like a little chase through the and Reva is like not sure if she buys it or not. She says like, "Oh, I like liars. I just don't know if you're lying to me or lying for me." I was like, "Oh, you're so cool."
No.
I love her. I don't care. I love her. And so they like go back and forth, and then they like Reva's like, "All right, I gotta go get you know, gotta go get interrogating." But Obi-Wan frees Leia. It was really cool. He like shut off the lights in this little like torture room, and the stormtroopers are like, "What happened?" And then a lightsaber turns on and like chops the one guy up, then turns off again. It's like, whoa. And now the stormtrooper's like, "Oh no."
That was a very Vader thing to do.
It was, but it was really cool. Um, I like when they use lightsabers for visually cool things like that, turn them off and on. It's always interesting. Yeah, so then they meet up with Tala and they're doing a little chase. People were pointing out how Obi-Wan was using like basic lightsaber forms and stuff. And like last episode before this, we saw him with Vader, and he like almost just didn't know how to use it anymore. And he was it like over throughout the course of the episode, he was getting a little bit more into the general Kenobi that we know.
Yeah, which is I think is really cool because like we know that later on when he meets Maul, he's like, ready for that.
He's very ready.
Like he's not weak. Like that thing ends in like seconds.
Mm-hmm.
So
and it's not like Maul wasn't ready. Maul was very ready.
Yeah.
Like, it was so I would assume
mutual
that
readiness.
Maybe, like I would assume that maybe he like, after this he's like, I should probably practice and train. Shouldn't just like do my little meat job all day. Like I should work out once in a while. And so he keeps up with it a little bit more.
I'm guessing that maybe he'll talk to Qui-Gon, and Qui-Gon's like, dude, do your exercises.
I want to see Qui-Gon so bad. Yeah. He finally gets through to Qui-Gon. Qui-Gon, do you have all the answers to life and death and what I should do with this chosen one boy? Qui-Gon's like, hit the gym. Fades away into Force Ghost nothingness. Oh, yes. That's not very nice. Yeah.
Get good.
Anyway, they're chasing, and there's like a water tunnel. It's like a tunnel thing with windows in the water place, because obviously, and the window cracks, and Obi-Wan holds it with the Force, and floods the room full of stormtroopers. And by the way, seeing Purge troopers in live action is really cool. I wouldn't say like I know some people saw the Purge troopers in like Jedi Fallen Order and were like, oh my gosh, like that's the coolest thing ever. I wouldn't say I quite had that reaction. I was like, oh, those are cool dudes. But it is still cool to be like, oh yeah, I killed a lot of those guys in a video game. And now here they are. So it's just cool. I just like when a thing shows up and it like doesn't really matter. Like it wouldn't matter if they weren't there, but I can still be like, hey, I know what that is, you know.
I know that reference.
I always like that. It's just the little things that make me happy. Well, it's just a little like attention to detail, you know, like
I've
know other things.
yeah, I've had that experience when I watched Resident Evil, like the new one that just came out, but that was like in December. It came out and it didn't entirely stick with like it was very specific to the first it was the second and third video game, Resident Evil video game, and they kind of stuck with it. The characters were different and stuff, of course. Like there were some things that were different, but then like towards the end of the movie, these very specific zombie creatures came out, and they looked so good, and they looked like the video game, like just how perfect they looked. And I hate zombies. I hate them forever and ever. But it like made me squeal. I was like, oh my God, I know that. I know that it's disgusting. It's hard to kill. But yeah, it's cool. It is cool.
Mm-hmm.
That was my moment.
Yeah, so they like, do the little chase and they Obi-Wan floods the little tunnel. And they run away, and Obi-Wan they're just gonna walk out through the hangar bay in all the chaos, which isn't the worst plan. Obi-Wan has like a trench coat, and he just like, it's like, all right, Leia, just like get under the trench coat.
I wonder who,
it's so like funny. And it like works. It like, because you know, it makes sense, you know. I feel like, you know, I mean, there's already the chaos of them dealing with the fact that like there's parts of their fortress flooded and there's like a security breach, and they're trying to deal with that. So they're not as maybe like, you know, like when Tala first walked in, there was like a process he went through, and that's gone now. So it kind of makes sense. It's funny. And I just, you know, I figure like, I mean, if I saw that, I was a little stormtrooper doing my little duties, I would pretend I didn't see anything.
You know, the Empire doesn't judge.
Genuinely, I'd be like, you know, even if, you know, I had at least the cognizance to be like, that's maybe the suspicious person we're looking for, I would be like, I'm not going near that. I'm not touching that. That's no thanks. I'm gonna move my boxes or whatever they do.
I choose life.
I choose, yeah. So Reva is finally the one who's like, hey, that guy's got a kid under his coat. And she like chases him out. And she's like, you gotta get out, like, you know. And he's like, we're gonna get you, like, you're no escape now. And who comes but two airspeeders come in from the path based people. They come to save the day. So they like shooting and like, you know, shoot the landing platform. One of them picks up Obi-Wan and Leia and Tala, and they get out. And the other guy's like, I'll be right behind you. And you're like, oh.
Yeah, that was when we all knew he was gone.
Everyone who watched Rebels was like, oh, buddy. So Reva, there's like, I don't know why they always just have explosive boxes sitting around everywhere, but she uses like a video game, and she like uses the Force and like throws this like explosive box at his airspeeder, and it like, maybe it wasn't explosive, maybe it was just a box and it hit its airspeed and makes it explode.
Yeah, I think
not
it
a very
was
good.
Just a
It's not a very good airspeeder if it just explodes when something gets hit.
Maybe she hit it in a certain spot. Star Wars.
Yeah, I mean, you know, this
Wars.
castle is also from a video game, so maybe they just do have explodey boxes everywhere.
Yeah. True.
But yeah, so he dies.
They get away. And then they have a little board meeting, and Darth Vader chokes Reva, and she's like, he's like, I'm gonna kill you, and she's like, but I got a tracker on them. We'll get them. And Vader's like, fine.
Yes.
Okay. If you have a tracker,
what I thought was I thought she was full of it. I thought like, cause I was like, there's no where.
I know.
Who?
That's what my first thought was like. Where did you put that tracker? Like, I don't remember you doing anything like that. Because I was like, maybe she like threw it at them when they were before they got on the ship. Like,
yeah, I wasn't sure. I was so confused. And then later, after they say, "Oh yeah, Wade, he died." um, it pans to Obi-Wan and Leia, and they're sitting and they hold hands, and it's so cute.
it's adorable.
Especially because she has a little 10-year-old hand. It's so tiny. So that was very cute. And then we get a shot of Lola with red eyes. That was not very nice. But I think it's weird though, because I feel like they should just send her to Alderaan, and then once they do that, like Lola's
I know it's so
stick with her.
stressful. Like I know she gets back to Alderaan, but I'm like, man, just put her in a box and ship her over to the Organas. Like,
Yeah.
she doesn't need to be here anymore.
Fragile. We'll just have my dad be Voss, but also be a mailman, and then ship
oh my
her over.
gosh, Voss is a youngling mailman.
Yes.
Whoa.
You heard it here, folks.
Voss is a mailman. Wow.
But for people.
But people.
Which is weird. It's okay.
I think that's a trafficker.
No.
Actually, now that I think about
so.
it, I think if you're shipping people, it's usually against the law. But he's doing it for a good cause.
Yes.
So they like, they're like flying away, and there's a little droid, and Lola, her thing lights up red, and that's never good.
Red is not a good color.
If especially if they're normally not red.
Yeah.
They're gonna start speaking Sith or something.
Yes.
So yeah. Also, when they get back, Roken is like, "Where's Wade?" And the girl pilot that saved them is like, she looks sad. And Tal's like, "Guess we're soldiers now." But I was like, Wade?
Yeah, that's the worst thing to say.
I was like, "Oh, that guy, Wade." I know his name was Wade. R.I.P. Wade.
Rest in pieces.
R.I.P. Yes. So yeah, that was episode 4 out of 6.
Yeah, we're almost done.
Episode 5 came out today. It was awesome. Then we have one more after that. So
yeah, I will probably watch the episode tomorrow. Hopefully,
we'll just be a week behind.
I could try the podcast
tomorrow, maybe.
Perhaps.
Perhaps. I have many things to do. I'm like, I can surely get all of these things done and eat dinner in the span of the 2.5 hours I have between getting home and going to sleep. And I don't, and I keep pushing it back. It's interesting.
I believe that is unhealthy. I believe you need to meal prep.
I don't have to make my own dinner because my parents do that because they are done school. So
then how are you not eating?
I know I do eat. I said I do eat. I didn't say I didn't eat. I eat, and then I try to do all the things on my list, and I don't usually get to them all. But I podcasted. This is a great transition to plugs, actually. StarsGeeko.com. There's a monthly poll. There's allegedly book reviews on Mondays, quizzes on Wednesdays, and blog articles on Fridays. I'm trying my best. I'm not going to promise anything, but I'm trying. I write them down on a to-do list that keeps getting longer to do every week. I'm trying very hard. hopefully I'm off Friday and I have a little bit of time before my troop. So hopefully not a little bit. I have a good amount of time before my troop as long as I wake up early. So I'll try to catch up on Friday with all those things. But I'm working a lot in my summer job. So if you're like, wow, she was really consistent with this for a long time and now she's not, that's why. I'm just very busy with work. But once the summer's over, maybe my internship will have a schedule that allows me to do a little more. Actually, it will. I think California has like labor laws.
Yeah. It does. So and like higher pay.
Yeah. So yeah, but I'm having a good time at work.
And then if you're getting discriminated, just call my mom. It's okay.
I'm not. Yeah. Yes, especially if you're in SoCal, call Liz Perales for if you're being discriminated against.
Yes. She got you.
Will protect.
Yes.
Yeah, so starwithgeekgirl.com, Facebook page, Start with Geek Girl, and Twitter and Instagram are at SWGeekGirl. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. For the Rouge Rebels, it's theroguerebels.com. Instagram and TikTok is at the Rogue Rebels. Twitch is at Rogue Rebels. Podcast, wherever you're listening to Star Wars Geek Girl. Facebook page, The Rogue Rebels, and Twitter at Rogue Rebels Fam. If you listen to the new episode of Rogue Rebels, there is no drinking. So it's a lot more calm, which is good. So listen to that.
I don't know. The other one's very fun too.
It is a lot.
It was a lot. It was very fun to listen to. Listen to them both and decide for yourself. I still, because I don't like to listen to podcasts about an episode before I podcast about it, so I haven't listened to those. I was listening to yours and Steel Wars and all the other ones.
It's a lot.
This is a lot. Yeah, thank you so much for listening. As always, please check out all the things we said. Check out all of our friends. Nope, that's in episode 5. Never mind. If people we may or may not know were in the background. Oh, can I say that? Is that a spoiler? I won't say what they did in the background, but they were there. Can I say it? Can I say it?
Who was it?
It was Corey, our good friend Corey.
Ooh.
Corey Wolfpack. And I believe Rex and Around was in it as well. I think that was it.
Hey, Corey.
Those are people we podcasted with. And they were there.
Nice.
So
they're now canon.
They are. So check out their stuff too.
Yes. Yay.
All right. Go.
I will be sure to watch that.
Go check out all those things. Make sure you're caught up on Kenobi. Yes. Thank you very much again for listening. Also watch Miss Marvel episode 2 that came out today. It's really good. I like that show a lot so far.
Miss Marvel.
Yeah, it's a Disney Plus show. It's Marvel.
It's not maybe.
It's good. It's good. I like it very much.
Is that like the one with the different actress? No, wait.
That's Captain Marvel.
I don't know my Marvels.
Huh? What?
I don't know Marvels.
It's Miss Marvel, starring Iman Vellani. It's a great show. Different from the comics, but still very good. And I love the character, and the vibes are very like Into the Spider-Verse, which is like one of my favorite movies ever.
Is it animated?
No.
Oh.
But like vibe wise, and they do a lot of creative things visually. Anyway, it's great. It's not Star Wars, but I like it. Go watch it. Because it's also cool. Make sure you're kind of caught up on Marvel stuff though, at least a little bit. Not too much, not like everything, but like at least like Infinity War, Endgame, at least like up to there. It's probably helpful.
Yeah,
at least a little bit. But yeah, it's very good. Anyway, thank you again so much for listening. I was Zoe.
I was Lizzie.
May the force be with you, and goodbye.
Goodbye.
Star Wars geek girls. They're geek girls that like Star Wars. And sometimes cry.